Toby Wilson, welcome to Over the Bonnet.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me.
It's a real honour to have you in the studio. You're an ex-SAS soldier, one of the super soldiers as I look at it, and there's some really difficult stuff that the whole regiment is dealing with at the moment. Let's get to the hard stuff straight away. And what do you think, and what's your take on this Brereton report?
Okay, so to sum it up, it's something that shouldn't have happened by a small group of people, and that, you know, it's affecting the whole unit. But it was brought up by people within the unit that saw what was happening and called attention to it. And like any government organisation, just things take time. And so now we find where we are today, and it's shocking. It makes me. It's an emotional roller coaster, to be honest with you. That's my workplace. That's the unit I worked with over there, and just because of a small group of people, it's tarnished a lot of really good work and, you know, hard work from people that are working for Australia's interests and willing to die for Australia. You know, so it's quite serious.
You were there.
Yes.
What happened from your point of view?
From my point of view, I can attack this in many different ways, but just to start off with, off the top of my head, over there, being right there, you just, like with any organisation, and this organisation is a small one and it's full of alpha males, but within that personality group, you know, you have different personalities, and so some things went astray, and it was noticed and it was called out. But from my point of view, also with the whole inquiry, they're focusing on the main offenders. Yet I know for a fact that the psychologists at the unit at the time brought up that this is not sustainable. So the government signed a waiver to allow people to continue being overworked and being used, which we weren't complaining about. We're doing a job that we enjoy doing. But just like anyone else and their personality, perhaps, you know, like the analogy I gave when I was chatting to you the other day about, you know, an angry drunk and a happy drunk. You know, some people are going to be affected different ways, and I believe some things have gone askew in some people's heads, and and it was noticed and brought to someone's attention. But other than that, it's not just Afghanistan. You come back, you're not at home. You come back from an Afghanistan rotation, which is shorter than your normal army rotation, and then they get dedicated leave for that as well, where they, you know, get a flight to Europe or wherever, and then they go back to their deployment and then come home. But we had a shortened one. We didn't get any decompression afterwards, and when we came back, we were either doing promotion courses to continue with our career, and be away from our families and you know, home, or we were on other operations, like when the protecting Australian nationals, like when the coup was on in Fiji, and we spent months and months and months on a ship, you know, waiting to go into action and save Australian. The police commissioner was an Australian national, so we had to go into Fiji and rescue him, along with some other people. But that didn't end up happening because of the chopper crash and all of that, and so got sent home early. But, you know, so that's the sort of lifestyle you have. And I'm not excusing any behaviour, but I'm just saying the responsibility, in my opinion, doesn't just lie with those that took the action. It was with what created those events. But, like, again, I'll back that up with saying that there's different sorts of people everywhere, and some people are nice and some people aren't. But, you know, to be able to then take a certain personality type in that unit and go, well, this is what we want now, you know, you wouldn't have enough people for that capability then. So you need to really, you know, they're not lowering their standards, but they need people that are able to do that job.
What went on?
Well, you'd have things that were, you know, your normal decompression. So, you know, you'd have a few drinks and things like that. And that was, you know, and you became more, as a group, you became tighter, you know, and you hung out with that group, and that's who you could talk to each other, you know, about what were things that you'd done, or you know, your mate just got shot in the arm, or someone just died, you know, and so you're dealing with that as a group, and then it becomes, I can see how it might become an issue to have, to try and break into that group, but that's just the nature of the beast. That's how things work when you're dealing with these situations we're put into. It's war's not pretty. Funny that.
But you were saying that, okay, you tighten as a group.
Yes.
And what was the effect of that?
The effect of tightening as a group, well, it allowed us to open up to each other. But then it also made for, I suppose, like brothers and sisters. A tight family group. You're going to have your quarrels and that. But the benefit of that is that when the quarrel's over, you're ready to protect each other's lives again. So it's an interesting work environment. It's not one that's going to be replicated anywhere else, hey?
But some people took it too far?
I'm not sure what happened there. I don't know what's going on inside the heads of the people that perpetrated this. I do know, and I really honestly do feel for the people that were under the command of some of the people that are, that are what's going on at the moment. They were mentors, and they were people that have. So someone wants to go into the SAS, they've got to dedicate a lot of time and emotion and everything to even just train up to get ready to do selection. And then when they make it there, they've put all this time and effort in, and then they're being mentored by not a very nice person. That's disgusting. That is, So, and they're going to have to live for the rest of their lives with some of these things that they've, not been forced to do, but that, I can see that, why they would have been, done what they've done and gone, well, this is the way it's working over here, okay, I have my opinions on it and I'll voice them, but it's not really, I have to fit in with this group here. These people are going to protect my life and I'm supposed to protect theirs. So, yeah, interesting dilemma. Poor people, hey?
Pushed by peer pressure?
Oh, I would say so, and also just imagine putting in over a year's worth of effort to get to somewhere that you really want to get to, and in something that is and does stand for so much good. You are Australia's choice to go and sort out their problems and stuff, and be an ambassador and be a face for Australia, and relate all those, the Australian way of life to people out in a third world country somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and you're doing a lot of good for them. I'll give you a random little example, for the site-sensitive evaluation. So the SSE, after every job, you go around and you search for mobile phones, for the chips in the phones, and everything like that, and take a photo of the person so that the intelligence people know who's who in the zoo and can see what's going on. But obviously there's Pakistani and US dollars in their pockets because they're all bad dudes. They're gangsters. They got all this money on them. And so we'd take that and then we'd put it all together and give it to the locals that had been, either injured or even just, harassed by these thugs and, whatever you want to call them, Taliban, whoever, the enemy going through, but just not nice people going through. And we give it to them so that they could get taxis, the old Hilux, into the nearest, medical, the nearest town to get medical aid or whatever. We made a lot of, just being, it was a privileged position to be in. And some people are really dragging my unit, my home, my place that I was willing to die for. They're dragging it through the mud, and that's not on.
Is it warranted?
To some degree, we're going to have to atone for our sins, so to say. But
tell us about the sins. Let's not beat around the bush. Then what went on? Okay,
so some people have taken it upon themselves that they can be judge, jury, and executioner, and drop kill whoever they feel like, and use it also to bring other people in under them to get their first kill, and that's ridiculous. It's bad enough taking human life anyway. It's something that just happens. It's like a police officer, doing his job or her job. An escalation of force and you take life. It's not the greatest thing. But you're ready to deal with that, and you cope with it because it's part of the job, and you do a pretty weird job. So, but when something's gone that far, there's a serious issue, and that's obviously why it was called out by people from in the unit.
Because there is that code of silence that operates.
Yeah, for sure. But that's part of that tight-knit brother-sister thing, yeah. Are
you surprised that people have spoken out?
No, I'm not. I'm surprised it's probably taken this long. I mean, like I said, that unit was the unit I worked in, and I've seen some things, but not really. But you always know what's going on when people are being, shut doors and not really talking much about something. Something's going on. So yeah, and you kind of piece things together. But some people were being bullied. Even there was some people, being bullied by these not nice people. A small group of people doing their own thing, and if you weren't in with their game or whatever, then you were, against them, So yeah, some people got bullied, and I think that's probably where after some of that video footage or whatever came out, that's the instigation of a lot of stuff, and then people started going, yeah, this isn't right, and that's good to see.
The bloodletting.
Yeah.
It really is kind of sad that it's been, as you say, and is that a result of the bullying?
I don't know. I think that's just all part and parcel of building a picture of who some of these culprits are, of who are staining the name of people doing good work. Is that they're just generally, they weren't nice people. So everything that goes with that, I don't know I can't comment on what's going on inside their heads to make them do what they were doing. But I must admit though, going over there to Afghanistan as much as we did, and I did minimal deployments really, considering to some of my other peer group or people that older people that were there longer than I was. They'd done 3 or 4 more rotations over what I did. But yeah, I was there enough to know that what's going on, and it was like a police effort. You're going out into the middle of nowhere, you're dealing with people, you're either arresting or taking care of targets, and basically seeing, being immersed in the local population. I mean, there's another little tin hat for you. This one time at band camp, we liberated this city called Gizab, and it was a job where some taxi drivers, some people that had a lot of money, so some people that owned, the Hiluxes, the taxis, and had farms and that, so had people working for them. Some Taliban thugs, just some generally bad dudes came through and put up checkpoints and started making a mess of the city. They put out a call for help, and the Americans didn't want to do anything about it. The POMs didn't want to do anything about it, and so we'd just come back from a job, and they went, it's only going to take 3 days. You guys go out and take care of this. And we spent 3 months out there and helped these guys get their city back. And and people are coming out and giving, with food. We're in the middle of fighting in an alleyway, and people are coming out with this goat's milk or something. It's not poisoned, is it, mate? No, that's all right. Milk was a bad choice in the heat, 40-degree heat, and goat's milk. Yeah, great. I think it had mint in it as well or something. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, we did a lot of good, yeah. And so yeah, there's some of these people that just, I don't know, had their own agendas or whatever. I'm not sure, but yeah, they're being called out now, and karma's going to get them. And but really, I am concerned for the unit, my workplace, and all the good work it's done, and all the people it's helped, and the view it's going to get. What do you do?
Well, sorry to harbour the point, but this bloodletting,
Yes.
and I want to get it out of the road and get it out in the open, because what actually happened from what you've seen and what you've experienced and what you've heard?
Okay, so I've seen just what the reports have been really, and that's that random people were executed, and also some people were made to shoot someone as to get their first kill, which is it's obviously not on, and highly irregular, and especially when you're representing Australia and conducting a mission for Australia's interests, then only what I've read, and every contact that I've been a part of, every battle or whatever, every fight that I've been in, however you want to say that, has always been like, I've had mates die and people shot in the arm next to me. These are bad people, and they were legitimate fights. I haven't seen half of or any of what they're talking about, but I was around it, so that's how small and close knit that group was that was doing the wrong thing, you know, and look at the effect it's having on good people and the work that they do. Hey,
what effect will it have on the junior soldiers that have been made to do it, do you think?
It'll affect people's decisions to get into the unit, and for a unit that's not going to lower its standards, that needs a lot of people in the unit. That's why we were so overworked. It's not a good move. But it's also going to affect people that were in and thinking about getting out, and now that all, you know, the typical government army knee-jerk reaction, this one will be super big. It's probably going to push people over the edge, and they'll leave. They'll lose experience. They'll lose, you know, this is being handled very badly, and it's not good. It's disturbing and upsetting.
You obviously would have known what was going on. What was your reaction?
Oh, when I found out about the inquiry.
Yeah. Oh, even did you know about stuff while you were there?
Oh, I didn't really know about stuff while I was there. I just knew the group of people. So now that I see what's happened with the results of the inquiry, it's like, well, okay, it's no surprise, but it's not. Yeah, there was no real finger pointing or seeing stuff that would have been, which is another thing that was concerning with the inquiry. Can you imagine how many people, waiting years and years with there's war crimes happened, and we're all thinking, well, we've been in a lot of fights, you know, we know from the past, especially the Vietnam veteran era, you know, how they're sort of treated and viewed, and so I don't know. It's just it would have been a bit concerning for a lot of people, I suppose, but. You know, just to wonder what they're looking at, you know, and why are we being questioned? We did such a good job, and we were given awards, and, the unit was given an award, which is being taken off of it, which I find that's upsetting, you know, just because of, one bad football player, they're going to can the whole footy team. That's I'm not sure about that. It's upsetting. A lot of people died, and a lot of people bled, and a lot of people put in a lot of hard work for people they're not even Australian nationals. They're just a people in a struggle, and we were helping them out.
So when you're actually in the middle of this struggle, is there fear involved, and does that bring you together? Talk us about what happens when you are in deployment.
It's different. It's interesting because you're that capable, and you've trained enough together with each other. You know each other's capabilities. If someone isn't up to scratch, then they don't come out with you. You know, they get sent off on some other job or do something else. They're not kicked out of the unit, but they certainly, you know, every day is a renewable contract, and so you're always working to your best, which is why this is pretty shocking. But with the inquiry, but it's a great place to be. You trust the people next to you, and you feel comfort in the fact that, you know, that you're going to be able to do whatever's required, and you also know that anyone around you is going to be able to do it. And then there's also the added bonus of modern day technology, where you really only have to hold out for 20 minutes, and then you've got, you know, air support overhead to help you out, which will sort anything out. So, you know, you feel pretty confident out there, and which again is why you can be such an ambassador for Australia, you know, with these people, because we came across one village and they hadn't seen a white person since the Russians were there, and there was like little kids' drawings with a T-72 tank and some MiG or something on it, and we're like, oh yeah, and they were really friendly and happy, you know, and again handing money over and helping them out, and, you know, it's just nice to be able to help another human being, hey, you know.
You talk about the bullying culture, though, in the unit. Mm-hmm. It surprises me because, essentially, you guys are all alpha males. You're not going to make it if you're not an alpha male. How does a bullying culture breed in that sort of environment?
Yeah, good question, Mark. That is, and in my mind's eye, I can see exactly how it happens. Let's take, for example, the constant deployments to Afghanistan with our main squadron and the group of people we were hanging out with, so the 20 blokes. Within that group, you're going to get the more dominant people coming through going, okay, well, we want this position on this job because it's going to be the best possible chance of having some more excitement, or that's where the action is going to be. And you can see power plays happening within the lower, within the people actually on the coalface doing the fighting. And there's movement around that, but there's never, it's not like, it is probably just like a football club, but you're going to get your groups that that aren't as dominant and just go, well, look, it's not even worth arguing over. We're out here to do a job. So, you take that spot, and you do this. And so that is probably how it starts to breed that way. But then not every squadron's like that, because we get split up and reformed that many times because we're so undermanned, or were undermanned at the time, I should say. There are many different groups and personas come out, depending on what's going on. And so, maybe if the stars don't align correctly and allow what happened to happen, that's how it happened. But otherwise, you can't avoid that. With a group of alpha males together, you're still going to be someone fighting to be top dog.
There's the alpha male amongst the alpha males.
Yeah, for sure.
There's always going to be the top dog.
Well, that's because you've got to have your competition. That's how we stay so good, Everyone's always, you're always competing with each other, and, and it's not long lasted. Someone's always going to outdo you somewhere along the line. So, but unfortunately there's some people that just went a bit astray in that environment. But otherwise, that environment is needed for that job, though, I believe.
Talk about the environment then.
The environment. So, one of competition. Yeah, constantly. Always having to do better. Always, striving for excellence. Always, and keeping a sense of humour and keeping that sense of family and looking after each other, but also enjoying your work, because it is hard work, and so you have fun while you can, but and it's a family affair. And
work hard and play hard.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the thing that you talk about? It's hard work. What's hard about it?
The hardest part of the job would be both physical and mental. So you're the work that you have to do to manage injuries and to maintain fitness for whatever the work may be, but then also mentally, you're away a lot, you're enjoying your job, you're getting paid to do a job that you enjoy, but you're also then you're looking after kids of a particular age, a family, a wife, or whatever other things in your life it may be, someone with disabilities or something, and there's all these other things that you can't give your full attention to that you would normally do, because you've really got to give even more than half of your attention to the work environment. And so that's why a lot of people end up divorced, and that's why a lot of families don't really work out, even though it's amicable. It just wasn't, it's a hard situation. And so, but someone has to do it. Someone has to do this job at this particular time for Australia's interests. So it's lucky that we have people that like doing it, I suppose.
What was your motivation to do it in the first place?
I'd always read the books as a kid, on the British Special Forces and just other random, just a typical kid and loving army stuff. I always wanted to be a pilot, but I was terrible at physics at school, and at that time you needed physics to be a pilot in the Air Force, and so that was a no-go. But I was a little propeller head cadet at the time, so I'll join the army. I like going out bush, and it turned out to be a wise choice. But straight from school and going up, I did many different jobs. I always wanted to, from the stories, and the boy's own adventure and just actually being the best at something, and just always had some sort of natural drive to want to serve and do something, special, I suppose. And then so I tried it, but I tried it at the ripe old age of 29 or something. Hey, I should have done it a lot earlier, because I actually made it all right. It was pretty good getting through selection, and then being there, I loved it. What a great work environment, hey.
So you'd done work in the army beforehand. What sort of stuff had you done?
Okay, so after Kapuka, I got pulled out into the hallway, and we got told what jobs that we were going to do depending on what score was for your job that you might be able to do. And so I ended up doing electronic warfare for a little bit out at Kabbalah, and it was like, this is pretty lame. Not what I joined the army to do, but it got me working with some of the battalions up in Townsville and down in Sydney at 3RAR, and it's like, okay, this is all right, but this job's not for me. So I ended up becoming a recruit instructor at Kapuka just to get out of that trade. And that was interesting in itself. Met some nice people there. Had an influence on people, recruits and that. It was an interesting experience. And then I became a military policeman. But I went away on the ships doing the boat people thing for a while, which was cool because those Navy people and the frigates work hard. We did a Christmas and New Year's with them, and they had some nice parties on the back of the decks of the ships out in the Indian Ocean, which was good. But I became a dog handler and then went, which was a great job. I reckon that was one of the best jobs in the Army, being a dog handler, except for obviously what I did afterwards. But I was just, I'm going to get too old if I don't try this out, and the body's going to fall apart. So I did it and went, I should have done it earlier. Yeah, whoops.
You talk about as an instructor at Kapuka, you've taught, you knew what you were putting the recruits through.
Yeah.
Then you went for the SAS, and you're again at the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, for sure.
What was your thoughts going into it?
I was excited. I felt prepared. I felt fit. I felt good. I had a couple of I had some tennis elbow. I kept getting steroid injections for that, and having to go and get dodgy extra ones from the doctor who would do it after hours, and just to be able to fight through some of the injuries that to get through the training just for that. But I felt confident, and it was fun, and I enjoyed it. But then, having said that, everyone I talk to at my old workplace, and then people go, what was selection like? And every time you tell it, it seems like it was easier and more fond memories each time you tell the story. But I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure it was terrible. I've seen that video clip of the SAS Australia or whatever it is where they showing people going through the selection, and they just look like zombies. Walking around. I was like, oh yeah. But no, I enjoyed it. I was grateful that I was there each day and not being kicked off. I mean, they actually called me in at one point. I think the group was too large, and some other group had lost too many members, so they'd taken me out of one group and were taking me somewhere else. And I thought, oh no, I'm being kicked off the course. And for what? I haven't done anything wrong. And we were just doing some activity, and they're like, oh no, we're just moving you to this other group. And it's like, oh. And then the horrible thing is I thought, oh, maybe they've come to tell me that my parents have died or something, and I'm not being kicked off the course. But that's how much you want to be there. That's how much. No, I didn't really think that. But,
But do you need that sort of drive?
You do need that sort of drive. That is the, people come out with programs to help people prepare for selection and do all sorts of other stuff. But at the end of the day, you've just got to want it bad enough. And that's all there is to it. Oh, and as well as just not get injured and keep going, there's a bit of luck there involved, but you make your own luck.
What luck did you get while you were doing it? What did you go, wow, I'm glad that happened?
Oh, well, all right, there's, I don't mind smoking a few cigarettes, and you can't smoke cigarettes for 21 days on that selection course, and I was doing a navigation phase, and one of the instructors was smoking a roll-up cigarette, and I'm going, oh, that smells like a good roll-up cigarette, sir. And he goes, oh, here, finish it off. No one ever did that for me. So that was good. No, but there was also other times I rolled my ankle, and there was an American exchange guy on one of the stands for this navigation part. And, and he took pity on me and taped it up really good because he was a patrol medic. And, that was lucky because it was pretty messed up. I had to get my boot cut off afterwards because my ankle had swollen that much, hey. But
I've heard, though, that with people sort of will build it up to be too much, the training, that really you need to break it down. You've just got to get through the next hour. You've just got to get through the next day. Is that an appropriate way of thinking?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, everyone's different, but yeah, that is certainly, it makes things more manageable when you don't think about the whole big picture. Like, oh, there's who knows how many more days there are to go. Who knows how many more kilometres there are to walk. It's just, how about we sing this tune that's annoying me now in my head and keep amused with that for a bit? Or how about we just concentrate on getting up to that next 10-metre bit up there. But yeah, you just got to distract yourself, hey, because the body has more to give, even when it's 75% gone, and you can keep going. The mind gives up, doesn't it?
Well, that was where I was going to lead to. You're 29, you're going for the SAS.
Yeah.
And what was stronger, your body or your mind?
An interesting question. Probably my body. My body was pretty fit at that stage, but my mind was. I was prepared. I was just gathering as much information as possible, but not talking to other people and hearing their people that have attempted it and failed or whatever. I didn't speak to those people. I just concentrated on the information I had and really thinking about staying fit and injury free and just mentally just staying aware, being prepared for whatever they're going to throw. And it was nowhere near as bad as what I thought. That's why I should have tried it out a lot earlier, to be honest with you. Yeah.
How fit do you need to be?
You need to be fit. You need to be very fit. You're sort of upper body and ability to carry heavy loads. So I don't know, but for argument's sake, let's say you've got a 45 or 50 kilogram pack on. They might make you carry an antenna on top of that, but like just for training for it, large weights, uncomfortable, getting chafed, getting skin, ready, and your feet, feet are important parts. Soak them in Condy's crystals all the time. They look constantly purple, and just preparing like that, and that was enough to get through.
I remember when I was training as a young man, we did some stuff with the army guys up in Townsville.
Yeah.
And we did things like fun with logs.
Oh, yeah.
Are these the sort of things that you were doing? Are there things that you went, okay, why are we doing this?
Oh, for sure. It was pretty bizarre and random, but like it was pretty split into 3 sections those first 21 days to see if you were trainable or whatever it is that they're looking for. The first section was all PT stuff, so constant push-ups or rope stuff, all your log stuff, but just always constant. And then no sleep either, just random get-ups and watching videos on like an army, Q store. This is how you issue a boot and this is how it's supposed to be laced up. And then they'd ask you random questions like, what was the guy's name that was issuing the boots? How many laces had they laced up in that section? And you're like, oh, yeah. But, so there was all sorts of memory games, Kim's games, no sleep, exercise, all that sort of stuff. And that was probably the first phase. Your second phase was a bit more navigation stuff and team games, seeing who's a team player and just what people's personalities are like, I guess. And then the last phase was really the whole, zombie, no sleep, and really being pushed. And
So when you say that, how do these bully-type people get through if the selection is so intense and so meticulous? How do they get through?
Well, I don't know if I can answer that for anyone except for myself, which is that I can see selection as something that sees if you're trainable, and then you do over a year's worth of courses that you would have killed someone for to do in the normal army, but there it's like they've sapped all the fun out of it and you're just doing course after course after course, which is still good. Appreciate being there, but it wears you out, and every day being a renewable contract and just always on your guard. But after that, and you go to a unit, and you start getting exposed to some of the strange the work environment, because you do witness some pretty crazy things, and you have to do some interesting things. But
can you talk about those? Or what can you talk about?
Well, I just for what I can talk about, for argument's sake, just that one job. And, I had to fight for my life to get out of that helicopter that broke in half and try to drown us at the bottom of the ocean. Those things at the time don't have that big of an effect on you, but they do. But, it does change the way you view things, and every experience you have in that sort of environment will change. You will reflect on that, and it'll change the way you either approach things in the future or how you view things overall, how lucky you are, or or just other stuff like that. But I think you become more yourself again after that process of selection and your reinforcement cycle, so all your courses. You become a bit more of yourself again, and so you're going to see your different personalities come out again in the workplace, but probably on steroids, I'm not sure. Yeah, because in that work environment, and dealing with all those sort of bizarre experiences.
I remember talking to a drag racer at one stage, and I said, mate, what is the procedure that you go through when you're about to hit the light?
Yeah.
And you're about to hit the accelerator and head down the track, and he said he thinks of nothing.
Oh, yeah?
It just happens.
Yeah.
What's it like for you when you go into deployment and there's suddenly contact and you have action?
Oh, it's just straight away. You're just taking everything in. So you it's not like time slows down, but you're just aware of what's over there, more situationally aware, and where you, like, again, communication. Where's my mates? Who's somewhere else, and just very quickly in your mind working out who can do what you can do, and what other people might be doing right now, and it just sort of all works together, and that's it just happens instinctively. But that's only because you train all the time, so you're training for that sort of environment, so that you can be in the middle of all sorts of crazy stuff, like having my dogs. I used to be a dog handler. I had a dog again over there, and having a dog on there changes things up a bit, and he'll either try and drag you through a brick wall or something, or he's trying to eat chickens over there or something as you're trying to do a job and focus. It's a very it's a dynamic environment, isn't it? But an interesting one. Yeah, you train enough to be able to deal with all the other extra little things that might come along.
You talk about renewing that contract every day. That must be a lot of pressure.
I guess it is. I mean, in a way, you're there, and you've got to. Again, that motivation to want to be there and keep working there, is obviously pretty high.
Does it get stronger?
I get, it depends what's happening. If you're getting really good jobs and you're having fun at work, it's what a great place to be. It's usually more about the people around you than what's sort of happening. So you can even go on something that never even pulls off. You're getting ready to fly somewhere, but you end up a week away from home and then come back again. But you had a good time anyway. It's just the weird little memories that you have with again, people in a work environment.
What's the best part of the job?
Oh, the best part of the job, from my point of view, it is certainly getting to play with all of the expensive, cool toys. Yeah, for sure. You're pretty privileged to be able to play with some of that equipment and then play with it like a lot. So it's good.
What sort of toys can you talk about? What can you talk about?
Oh, for sure. Just even all the weapons platforms, but even not just weapons platforms, but like, doing HAPO, so high altitude parachute operations. So you're jumping out from a Hercules, out the back door with oxygen on, and you're either getting a 2-minute free fall down to the bottom, or you're deploying your canopy straight away and looking at the world through your own eyes like it's a topographical map. It's like, oh, this is beautiful, it's great. We did a night jump of training. We were testing out this new oxygen system, and we did a night jump near Wagga Wagga at Narrandera, and we deployed straight away again from like 30,000 feet or something, and looking down, and there's this lightning show down on the horizon, below us, and it's like, oh wow. And then someone gets on the radar and goes, we're going the wrong way, we need to turn around, and everyone's looking at this lightning show down on the horizon. Beautiful.
So when you're doing that sort of thing, is there a concern that hey, you could get injured just in training?
Oh yeah, for sure. But that's the beauty of the army, is that it doesn't matter how you get injured. You're going to get some time off, and you're going to heal, and that's all looked after. So yeah, there's probably some reckless disregard for your body, knowing that it's going to be, even if something fell off, it's the army's going to look after you to some degree.
So how well do they look after you? You're now out of the SAS. How well are you looked after?
Oh, look, to be honest with you, I'm doing all right now. But look, I wasn't. I've been in a hole, and it's only just taken me a year to come out of it. And I've got a good team around me, like good delegates and DVA. But you got to do. To be honest with you, I've had to do a lot of work myself, learn a lot of stuff myself, and then just create relationships with the right people, and things are happening. But that did not happen when I first got out. So yeah, there's definitely a problem with getting people that are have done nothing except be in the army or the military or whatever, and then come out and, they need a bit of guidance. They need some the correct hookups with people that are going to produce results. There's too much confusion and clunkiness in everything that the way it's run at the moment.
So the old saying that you go to interesting, exotic places and meet people that come from various cultures and kill them. And then we pull you out of the army, or you get discharged for whatever reason, or you're discharged due to time. Mm-hmm. Are we doing enough post that? Because it's like we make these killing machines, then we put them on the street.
Yeah, no, we're not doing enough, and I know DVA are working to rectify things, and I'm not going to go DVA bashing. There's some good people in DVA, but it's just like anything else. It's an organisation. It has its faults, and it does need some assistance. But yeah, there's many different people that are entitled to different things, and there's just so the people that really need help are not getting it because there's just too much going on. It's too busy. The volume of people going in, the triage of like, oh, well, this person is being looked after the same as someone that's living under a bridge and needs some sort of, accommodation and money or some sort of assistance. They're not getting that. There's some more work needs to be done there.
That's kind of sad. You're the elite super soldiers really at the cutting edge front line, and then you come back and you talk about people living under a bridge.
Yeah, it is sad, hey, but I can see how it can happen. It's so easy to happen. You've got these people that are used to achieving things and not giving up, and so they'll just keep going until they can't. And I'm not saying that everyone's different again, and some people will take a bit longer to come around to getting assistance that they require, or some people aren't interested in their entitlements. But all of these people do need to have a conversation and just sort of it's not that hard, and you can get what you're entitled to, or it doesn't have to be this way. There is some, there's some guidance. These are some of the options available to you, but that's not happening. No one's reaching out to these people, not that I'm aware of anyway.
You got yourself out of the SAS, and you say you went into a big hole. What got you into the hole, and what got you out of it?
Well, interestingly, I got myself into the hole. I got out and was like, great, I'm out. I'm around my son. He's 4 years old now. This is awesome. I've got him week on, week off and doing stuff, and I need work, okay? So I got I was doing some tower climbing work, for Vodafone and Telstra, and having fun climbing up, earning good money, but the old body didn't really hold up. Went to uni, and that's where things really started to come off the rails, because old Oz study wasn't consistent, and trying to, being a mature age student and trying to run a life as well as get through a bachelor as quickly as possible, doesn't leave much time to do anything else. And when the $500 a fortnight wasn't even coming in every fortnight, I just fell behind with everything, got myself into a big hole. And then what I was studying at uni, doing a lot of self-reflection on things, and it was interesting. I did my psychology minor, and I was doing counselling, but I changed that because there's no way I could be a counsellor. I'd probably tell too many people exactly how it is, and that's not what you're supposed to do. But the self-reflection really put me in a big hole, and it was only through the same thing that got me through selection is what got me out of that hole. Taking a step at a time and staying focused, and just a lot of positive self-talk.
When you went from selection to doing it for real, how did that affect you, and what did you experience?
Oh, I was wondering how I would go with that also, but it was surprisingly easy, because you're in such a bizarre environment, but it feels comfortable because of the people and the assistance that you have, or the technology that you have around you, feeling good. But it surprisingly just like training, really. You're doing your thing. There's and if there's someone, especially in a firefight, especially when someone's shooting at you, I mean, it's kind of surreal in a sense. There's some cartoony spaghetti western sound ricochets going around your feet, and you're like, oh, okay, at least they're missing us. and then when you come across people, then it's either them or you, and that's just all actually part of a normal. It seems it's just part of what happens, and it's more what you see, like the destruction left behind of what some of these people have done to what people can do to each other, and you see the results of that, and that's what sticks in my mind, things like that, and not so much my mates that have died for the cause, my mates that have died for the country, for that unit and for their mates, but that's okay. We were all willing to die for that job. So it just sucks it's not that good for the family, and the people left behind. But we love doing our job, and that was great. But
how did it affect you at the time, though, when you do lose a very good friend? Because as you say, you're very close, very tight, and it's a small unit. You lose someone.
It becomes it's a bit rushed, to be honest with you, when I think about it. But at the time, there's not much else you can do about it. And in typical army fashion, just like an army funeral, you have your sadness and your sorrow and whatnot. But then they play the happy tune as everything's wrapping up, and it's kind of like, all right, we've had our memorial for this person, and let's move on. And that's kind of like what it is on a rush scale for, okay, I just lost a mate, and sucks for the family, and it sucks for the dude, but did love doing it, and at least he went that way and not some other way, and that's how we viewed it. But and then it was done, and then you kept moving on with work. And you remember the dates, you have your little memorials. It's not like an Anzac Day, but, when you get together, you have your own little memorial type thing usually. But, otherwise it's not like a big effect, because you need to maintain operational focus, and keep the jobs rolling on.
What do you think about Anzac Day? How does it affect you, and how do you treat it?
Oh, I love Anzac Day. I think it's great, obviously. But when I was younger, when I first joined the army, I'd pick a particular thing each Anzac Day to reflect on, whether it be a certain conflict or a certain era, and I'd read into things and read stories, and it's just about, it's just about keeping that alive, I suppose. But, most of the Anzac days that I've had, I even spent an Anzac Day out in Afghanistan when we were liberating that city of Gizab. That was interesting.
How was that? What happened?
We had this Navy SEAL exchange guy with us, and they were bringing in two Chinook helicopters with some generators and other things for locals. And they brought in a case of rum. It was Captain Morgan rum, spiced rum. And they brought it in for us for the Anzac Day. But one helicopter landed and was unloading water and the generators and whatever else. And the other one hovered there and just dropped the crate out of the back. And so obviously the one with the rum in was the one that got dropped out there, and it's like, and this Navy SEAL guy was going off to the pilot on the radio, and they did actually bring out they brought out a Black Hawk, came out with more rum for us, and we got up real early, and we shared around a bit of took a sip out of the bottle and had a service, and then before the sun came up, then we went out and started working. So that was a really special, interesting Anzac Day. Hey.
Good to get together with your mates now these days. Do you still do that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I do. It's very important. I've got a little tribe around me, and I think that's very important, But again, just like what we're seeing at work with different sorts of personalities and different type of people, everyone's different, and I've got what I've got going on, and I'll share the love with that with like-minded people,
With going into the SAS later, do you find that you had a bit more experience to bring to what you were doing and dealing with younger guys?
Oh, for sure. That's a pretty normal age for people to be going in. There are younger people. There are different age groups that go in, but that's a sort of an average age. And then you're losing your rank again, and everyone's starting off again, and that's probably another thing that they're bringing up in this inquiry, they were so insular, but that you are, because it's made that it's made that way. You're doing a completely different job, and yeah, you are everything from, again, losing your rank again and going up through the ranks again from scratch in a different job. And
why do you lose your rank? What's the story there?
It was interesting. I don't know. Interesting question. I don't know why they do that. It does bring everyone back down again. It would be awkward to have, I suppose, a sergeant or a corporal and then a trooper or a lance corporal working together and trying to, everyone's the same, and they're starting again. But they did talk about having shadow ranks at some point, I think, where, when you dealt with the normal army, you kept whatever career progression rank that you were at, so you could deal with people. So you could go to a Q store and request something and not be told to bugger off,
because it's essentially throwing away experience.
Yeah, well, they're throwing away the rank. I can see what they're doing there, but no, the experience brought in by being that age and by having a lot of people that age group is awesome. Everyone, and not only just from the army. There were many people that had didn't join the army straight from school, and they were welders or they were this or that, and you'd be surprised the amount of skill sets that came up in bizarre situations that were very handy. And it's like, oh, good on you, well done.
So you got some people that just went, right, I'm going to do this, and went straight into it.
Yeah, well, there was on my selection or my reinforcement cycle, I don't know whether he was the youngest guy, but yeah, he was like 20 years old or something. He was a tank driver, and he didn't even have his driver's license, but he was a tank driver, and they gave him a diesel Hilux to do his driving test, and he kept failing because it was a manual, and he kept stalling the vehicle. It was diesel. You only got to take your foot off a clutch, and those things roll forwards. But God bless him. He was a good bloke. Yeah.
Should have given him a tank.
Should have. Yeah, I don't know how I let him behind a tank. I saw his driving.
What's the difference between a soldier and an SAS soldier?
Oh, the amount of hours, the amount of training, the amount of money spent on them, and the motivation, I guess. But that's not entirely true. That's why people end up there. And there's probably some people that should be there that don't even give it a go, that have the right qualities that and just through self-doubt never attempt it or never try out, or for family reasons. Again, that's a big one. A lot of people pull themselves off selection because they just miss their family or realise that this is going to be such a big, I've got to dedicate myself to this. I'm not ready for that, and that's a big killer.
What's the biggest thing that does knock people out? What makes them fail?
Oh, I would say their self-talk, I would say. They were either not fit enough, like they really just cannot keep up and they'll drop, or they get injured, or they say they're injured because they just can't, or mentally, they just mentally give up. What they're saying to themselves in their head is not conducive to moving forward and getting stuff done, so they really just, shooting themselves in the foot.
Literally. When you are actually doing that and you're going through a fair bit and you're obviously hurting, everyone's hurting, and you see someone that is sort of lying down figuratively, how does that affect you, and what do you think of that when you're looking at them? Are you saying, hey, just go?
Oh, when I came across that on my selection, I felt really good because I went, well, out of the 120 people or 100 people that they've got on the start of that selection, there's really statistically only going to be at least 20, approximately 20 left. And so each time you see someone, you're hurdling over the weak and dead, or you see someone on the being kicked off or whatever, you're like, okay, yeah, that's another one down, and I'm still here. So it sounds a bit cruel, doesn't it? But that's how it is. You go, and if you can't make it, then that's too bad for you, because it's not for everybody. And I'm still here, so that's good.
Describe the elation as I imagine it would have been when you hit the final day and they say you're in.
Yeah, that's pretty special. I've got to be honest with you. It's almost unbelievable, when they do tell you that it's over. One, you don't believe them. You're like, oh yeah, right.
Did you know? Did you expect? Did you have a timeline?
No, we did. We kind of knew that it should be roughly 21 days, and so you kind of keep a track on how things are going, and you kind of have an idea of what phases there might be, even though they do change things around. Everyone's talking to each other too about it, so you go, okay, I think this could be the day, or if not tomorrow, And so when they did go, oh, okay, yep, on the trucks, and it's like, well, it could be a trick, but, yep, this could be it. We're feeling positive about this. And then, it was over. We got taken back, and there were all these hot pies and sausage rolls and, cans of Coke and everything everywhere. It's, help yourselves. And, yeah, all right, good on you, you made it. And that was it. And then we had to clean up and give a few phone numbers and email addresses or something that we got told at the start of the 21 days, and then they took that down, and then we got on a coach and went back to the base, ready to fly back to our units. And we'd lost on an average of 10 kilograms each. We looked like Changi Death March victims. It was wrong. And tick bites everywhere, and that fix-em-all tape looked like mummies with the tape all over us just to stop the chafing and keep bits of your body on, and and that night it sunk in, after we got told, we got put, when we got back to the base at Swanbourne off the coach from the selection, there was, I don't know, there was under 20 of us, and they called a couple of people away, and then we thought that, they were calling people away to go, yeah, you made it or you didn't. And then there was a big wait, and we were like, oh, well, hang on, are we being turfed, or maybe we didn't make it? And then someone just came around the corner and went, yep, you're in, and you're going to get some orders for what's happening tomorrow. Fuck off. Or see you later, sorry. And we did, and we got someone was from Perth, and so we got a taxi, went into town and got a heap of food, pizza, chicken, cheese, everything you'd been fantasizing about on selection, mint slices, banana smoothies, everything, and went back, and we ate, and our stomachs bloated too quickly, and then we passed out. That was it. But it was very special moment. And then it must have been one of the poor fellas, he'd got all the way through selection, then he got told that no, you haven't been selected, and he got to stay with us the night, and it was like, I felt a bit bad for him, and he's going, I'm gonna go do something in the Olympics, or I'm gonna do some, I don't know, he was like, I'm focused on this now, and I'll do that. And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea, good on you, so yeah, staying quite upbeat about it. But yeah, that must have been horrible for that person to get through all that way. Although hats off to anyone for even attempting that. I helped out on a selection, actually. I was one of those blokes that was on the navigation stands and out on a beachy area in Lancelin, and the people would come through and check their their next nav thing and whatnot, and I'm like, I felt that sorry for them. I'd give them a chocolate bar or a piece of fruit, and I go, there you go, mate, you're doing good, you're doing all right, but good on them for having a crack. Hey, make it or not, that's a big thing to even prepare for, let alone attempt.
You mentioned a little while ago that SAS Australia.
Yeah.
How realistic is it? Is it even close to what they put the soldiers through?
No, that's, I don't know. That's just that's a gimmicky thing, really, isn't it? I've only seen a couple of the YouTube clips. I haven't seen any of it, but I saw like some of the things that they were getting them to do. Yeah, that's just like on selection, when they're just trying to keep you awake, you'll have a major event and a minor event, and the major one will be all about getting in to see who's cracking under pressure, being in charge, or who's being jack, or who's not helping out, or who's really doing whatever. And the minor task will be just randomly whatever, just to mess you around and keep you up. Dig in with a spoon, bury this canoe with a spoon, or some just other random stuff. Make a, I've got these goat's hair, you've got to, with all the sticks on the ground, you've got to make a pen. No, it's not right. I want a triangular one. They'll just keep messing you around with all sorts of things. But so what they're doing on there, I suppose is quite conceivable that, but it's not. It's just a gimmicky thing. It's got nothing to do with actual, the selection.
When you were on selection, what was the thing that really stood out to you where you questioned, what is this for?
No, I never, because I knew why I was there and I knew what I wanted. But yeah, it was, and that made it kind of funny also, because they'd have a bit of fun with it, and it's like, the next hill, just around the corner. Oh no, this is wrong. No. Oh no, my wife's calling. We need to go back, and keep going this way. And it's all funny stuff like that. So you could have some. It was enjoyable, but no, I don't think it was really. But I do remember it I got fond memories of it. Yes.
With the Brereton report, with what's happened, do you think there'll be changes now to the selection process?
Oh, well, who knows? Yeah, probably. I think they'll want to be seen to be doing the right thing, because it's shocking and disgusting what's happened there, but so they're really going to have to work hard to fix that image, but I don't know to what extent they're going to go, and if they do, whether they change selection or not, I'm neither here nor there with that. It's the type of person that you're going to get in, and they probably were going to have to do something like that anyway,
because you're always going to have an alpha male.
Yeah, for sure. In environments where you need someone that's trainable to do something that's dangerous and just a bit different, or your sensory overload is going into hyperdrive or something, you're going to need a certain person to be able to do some of those jobs, to be able to help and save or do whatever's in Australia's interest. So yeah.
You love the SAS, and it comes through when you're talking about it that. What do you see the effect on the unit as a whole because of what's gone on and the investigation?
Yeah, I see that they're going to have to work hard, unjustifiably so, because it's not their fault. That people there, that's just people have done, there's a certain type of personality has done this, brought this on the unit, and they're now going to have to do a lot of work and mess a lot of people around, and a lot of changes, and a lot of just more, and a job that's already busy, and you don't want to be messed around. There's probably going to be more briefs and more training, or sitting in front of a light pro presentation type thing going on, as well as just keeping their nose clean. I mean, it's not that we didn't do that before, but at least you could have some fun and relax and go, oh, we've got a moment off, let's let off some steam. That's going to change in a big way. I don't believe that they're going to be able to do anything, because if something comes up, there were skimpies handing out beer at the boozer, or something like that, and then it's just, that'll be too much. So I think it'll be a complete lockdown on any sort of enjoyment.
That can't be good.
No, it won't be good. No, it won't. So I don't know how long that will last. I honestly don't know, but I do know the army well, and I know how they react to things, so I know it's not going to be fun working there, and good luck to the people that are working there at the moment, because it'll be extra hard. They're going to have to put on a, even just for the army head shed, the higher up in the army, the Canberra army, they're going to have to put on a show for them to go, yeah, look, we're being good and presentable.
There are some fairly big names that have been named in this inquiry.
Yeah.
Is it warranted? Is it justified? Will there be ramifications for some of these people?
Honestly,
we don't have to name names, but you can if you want.
No, okay. No, well, I do have something to say about that. I think from I've obviously been keeping a keen eye on what's been going on the whole time up to this point, and I see some of the articles I've been reading. Some of the people that it's warranted that they're going to get looked into, and something should be, something is going to be done about it. But I'm not even sure how that's going to go, because 7 to 10 years to look into a criminal investigation of someone that's done something wrong, and I think that last example was a Bosnian war crime, and it took a long time, and then reading some of what they're talking about in some of the articles about, even just by that time, then the evidence in a court might not even hold up, so I know what I think and feel and what should happen.
Well, there's videos these days, so there's not a lot that you can hide for the video that's been found.
Oh, this is true, yes, but there's got to be some context to it as well. And you're right, so video evidence, but then there'll be, what happened before that? Did he have I'm not sure. Thank goodness I haven't been in a court and in front of a judge for war crimes or anything like that. But what is from what I've been reading, they will push for what they're going for, but will they get it? I don't know. Ben
Roberts-Smith is going to sell his VC.
I saw that this morning, yes.
And what do you think about that? Should it be funded? Should he be foregoing that VC just to defend himself against the allegations?
I'm not sure what to say about that. One, why? Why, in the face of all the evidence and everything going on, are you really going to sit there and continue to go down the path that you're going? And again, at the end of the day, he's been awarded that medal, and I guess he can do what he wants with it. But then, even then, there's people that do work. And then, like every other organisation, it's usually political, or there's some reasons behind why they push certain people into getting a medal, or push someone into doing a certain position. Everyone there on the day doing their job is, deserves, within ourselves, within our own unit, recognition of what we did. And
absolutely, and that's the thing. From what I've read, what I've seen, you all deserve VCs. I'm sorry, but to single someone out when you're all...
It's a bit, so, hey, neither here nor there with that. He can do what he wants, but, we'll see what happens with that.
Are the allegations against him justified?
Well, from what people are saying against him, I can't comment on that. That's between what they saw or what they had to do under whatever happened there. But I mean, I just know from knowing the person himself. I don't know whether you want to cut this bit out or not, but I'm going to say it anyway. We were overseas, all right, in Afghanistan, and we were having one of our drinks after a job. So a bit of an all-nighter, a bit of a decompress, and people get a bit out of order, and he came out and he told me that he reckons that I called his wife a dog, and then we got into a fight. And he's a big dude. He's bigger than me. Anyway, we got into a fight.
And you're a pretty big dude at the best of times as well.
Oh, thanks. But it was like, what's going on? I was more confused as to what. I'm like, I'm a dog handler. I don't think using dog as an insult is really quite right. So this is the sort of personality that we're dealing with here, and so karma.
Is this what you're calling about fights within families?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
It must make you tighter, though, with other parts of your regiment, with other people, because of what's happened, that you band together and tighten up even more.
Oh yeah, for sure. You certainly that's a normal family thing, isn't it? And you protect your own, but at what price and what cost? There is a line to be drawn there, and as you can see, it's been drawn here with people that spoke out against what happened.
The medic that broke the code of silence,
yes.
What's your thought about the fact that he did speak out, and other people have spoken out since to the psychologist?
Okay, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure I can comment on that because every time we went away with support staff, so someone that's not an operator, but that they're usually medics or EW, some sort of signaller, or there might be engineers out with us, doing some either dog work for detection, or they might have some mine detectors or something. So you usually when you go out on jobs, you might have some of those people. And I've got to be honest with you, everyone, even old, I don't know if I should mention his name or not, but even old matey engineer who would, chain smoke cigarettes, he was a champion. He was a great bloke, and he knew his job, knew his work, and we got along well. But the same with the medics, love them, they do a really good job, and they know their stuff, and they know their work, and I've never had any dramas with support staff, but I know what you're talking about. I've read those things myself, and I just view it from the point of view of like, okay, so maybe you've seen something you're not happy with, but also I treat it with caution, because I know my experiences and the people that I've hung out with, and I never had any issues with support staff or anyone else really. They're all great people to work with. Hey, as
you say, it's all context.
Yes, true. Yes.
Could a lot of this be held out of context, or is it some stuff that you go shouldn't have happened?
Both, yeah. Some stuff you probably need a bit of context around it. War is ugly, and especially a counterinsurgency where there's not an enemy in the uniform. It's the local nationals are people shooting at you. So
you've got counterinsurgents, and you've got people that suddenly they grab a gun and they're suddenly the enemy, then you've got to treat them as one of the villagers. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, well, we very carefully, that's that whole presenting the Australian face, being the ambassador to Australia, it's almost a case of, well, they've got to start shooting at me before I start dropping people, but, or they've got to start shooting at me before I can really get a handle on what's happening here, but it didn't really happen like that, so, but they can see how it's a confusing and chaotic environment, and so one that you have to really, go in with your head on a swivel, and be really situationally aware, but to the point of, you're not just going to go in and jump on the spider in the corner of the bathroom because it might be dangerous, are you? You've really got to take your time with what's going on, and that's why we do those. That's why they select those sort of people to do those jobs, because they're going to do the right thing in those situations, and not jump the gun and just, do whatever's required for the safety of themselves and their mates, but actually think about the people in that environment right in front of them, in that situation.
How are you applying what you've learnt now to civilian life?
Oh, probably pretty poorly a while ago, but I'm getting there with that. Yeah, it's interesting. It really does make you sit back and wonder why a lot of people do what they do and why they worry about what they worry about. But just having that, just thinking about some people in third world countries and how they live their whole life, and then coming back here and seeing a lot of people whinge and whine about stuff where you're like, well, we got it pretty good here,
Are you glad you got operational? Would it have been a sad thing if you'd joined the SAS and never actually got into conflict?
Oh, for sure, in my opinion, yeah, it would be very disappointing because, that's where most of the best experiences are, you're really getting out there and applying your skill, and getting out there and doing something and getting amongst it and it's not really, I guess you're not really making a difference, but at the time you are. To those people, you're making a difference at the time, but in the big picture, probably not. But we're being sent there by the government. It's not like we're going there on holiday.
When you're actually operational,
yep.
Did you find, especially early on, did you find your training kicking in and feel yourself cradled by what you'd learned, and then all of a sudden it's like, that's why they did that?
No, I don't think so. Not thinking about it now off the top of my head. But the army's like that. They'll do many things to make you act a certain way or react a certain way, or prepare you for a certain environment. So yeah, no doubt. But usually it was just actually being with a really nice group of people and trusting them and them trusting you that got you through pretty much anything.
That trust must be immense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
How did it evolve when you actually got operational with these guys?
Oh, just through random events, being able to run down a creek line with one other bloke and lose radio contact trying to chase an engineer's dog who lost his dog. Oh, poor fella. He sent his dog out to clear a bridge, and we were in Bushmaster armoured vehicles and waiting for the dog to do his job, and there were some kids playing in the river, and he jumped down into the river and played with the kids, and then did the Zohan sort of swimming thing down the river. It was quite fast flowing, and me and my mate are like, oh, we better go get this dog. The engineer's not going after it. And we had to run. We ran for kilometres after this thing, and in the end, my mate spoke a bit of Pashto and managed to get this guy to come over and relay that we wanted a dog. We're looking for a black dog, and he came back, but with 3 dogs. So he must have thought we wanted to buy a dog. These weird people want to buy a dog or something. But then we saw some kid with the dog, and we're like, hey, that's our dog. We need that. Yeah, and we so random little just events like that, now, that was a pretty dodge situation that my mate and I put ourselves in. There was a high ground to our right, and there was people around the corner. It was like, we're pretty exposed here, but, I had to get the dog back. And so those are the things, just little events like that, and, always build on relationships and how you view someone else and what you're going to be, how they react and how, it's good.
You're a dog handler over there.
Yeah.
What was your relationship with your dog?
It was good. My dog was awesome. He's a Belgian Shepherd, a Malinois, and he was a champion. and even when I didn't take him out on all jobs. He wasn't required all the time. It's just another tool in the toolbox to use. But because he was such a cool little fellow, I was always taking him out anyway because people just wanted him out there. Sometimes you'd be out for days and you're out in the Badlands and you're holed up in this mud brick compound, like some sort of French Foreign Legion fort style thing, and you're sleeping there and the sun's baking you and you're taking it in turns to do picking on the gun and watch out for people coming near you. And so I go do that, and my dog's tied up out in the compound baking in the sun, not sleeping, getting real angry, and he's wagged his tail, and one of our sergeants has gone over to pat my dog, and he's got and try to bite him. He was not a happy camper, hey. Oh, poor fella. But and there's other times where he did some really good work. We sent him to he cleared this 3-story building that had window door type things that came right down to the floor, and I set him up one building and he jumped across to the other, and I could see him every once in a while on the tail, and I went, oh good, and you'd certainly know if he was onto something. So hear him bark or someone yell or some gunfire, and I was like, it must be all clear up there. I'll call him back down, we're about to head off. I called him, Bree called him, he just looked out of this third floor story window and jumped straight out to heel next to me, and they've got this it's not body armor, but it's a harness on them, and you can attach things like cameras or whatever to the back and stuff. So it's a solid sort of harness, and it's hit the ground and dirt's flying everywhere, and you're just shaking it off going, what do you want, Dad? He was awesome. Some interesting times, although even taking him through some sort of small alleyway area, and there's and you're concentrating on what's going on, and you look down and he's got another chicken in his mouth, and you're like, oh, sorry, mate, where'd you get that chicken from? But yeah, he's all right.
In deployments, what's the one thing that you've done over there that really stands out?
Oh, there's many things to pick from there. I don't know. I mean,
pick a couple.
Well, there's the battle, the Battle of Tizak. I mean, we got battle honours for that, which they're talking about taking off, or they are taking off the unit, something like that. But that was a big day. But I loved being in Gizab and seeing the effects of actually giving someone back their small country town city type place. That was really satisfying and nice to see. How appreciative people were of just having a helping hand, because they really were struggling, poor fellas, hey. So that's really nice. But I don't know, there's many, even just the old Timor, going to Timor holiday stories, and just coming across random relationships and different people and just talking to them and seeing how they live. There was another example, just random small things. We were in another village somewhere, and we were stuck there for a couple of days, and I was talking to this fella. We only had one interpreter between the 20 of us, and so we didn't have an interpreter, and you're just using big Mickey Mouse hands, and he started playing this Iranian rap, and where he's bringing us out tea and stuff, and you're just engaging with locals and just sort of being a person. Hey, and they're the things that I remember, and they're pretty cool. Just meeting other people that were unfortunately living the life that they were over there, and just it made you feel like you could do something at least for them while you were there.
You say that the whole unit may lose some decorations, which is really kind of sad, because it's dropped the prestige in a way. Was there ever a situation where you thought this could be it?
Oh,
for you?
Yeah, a few times. I suppose the biggest one would have been the helicopter crash where it hit the side of the ship doing 200 plus kilometers per hour. So the whole tail section broke off, and then we just spun. Thank goodness, missed every part of the ship, and just dumped into the ocean. I had to do a lot of quick thinking there, because I needed to breathe. But I was stuck in that black darkness under the water in the helicopter as it was going down, and it was only just through real sort of luck and my movements of trying to go for my emergency breathing apparatus and things like that I wasn't stuck anymore and got spat out of the helicopter and made my way to the surface. That was a bit of a close one, but I had an RPG fired at us, but it went past my head. Like, it was pretty close, but it reminded me of like a gridiron football, just sort of spinning slowly, going past my head, just looking at it, going, "Oh yeah, that was close," and then it just hit a wall behind us and blew up. And then, of course, my mate getting shot in the arm next to me. One day we landed in Blackhawks in a riverbed, and as soon as we exited, we were getting shot at by machine gun fire from both sides of a valley in this dry riverbed. And so we ran out and took cover in a tea tree type shrub, And my mate's gone, "Ah, I think I've been shot." And I went, "Did you say you've been shot?" And he goes, "Yeah, it feels like I've been hit in the arm with a cricket bat." And I've gone, "Oh, I'll have a look." Yeah, and it looked like someone had got a pencil and just stabbed him right through the arm. It was nice and clean, no blood coming out. And I've gone, yeah, you've been shot, but it looks clean, so we're good. And I was starting to get his med kit out of his stuff to bandage it up, and he's going, "I don't think we should hang around here." And I'm like, "Yeah, good call." And so we scurried away. But there's a few, I don't know, close calls with a lot of things, really, isn't there? But yeah, there's some of the ones just off the top of my head.
Has it been hard for you to talk about it and come out and actually the Brereton report and say, "Hey, this is your side of the story and what you've seen"?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I've never had any dramas talking about things I did over there or what I've experienced. Been lucky, and but yeah, with this inquiry, I'm not sure. It's gonna be an awkward one. Things in the unit's been tainted. A lot of it's emotional. I'm angry as the actions of a few have destroyed the good work of many. And it's upsetting. So.
What could be the future of the SAS because of what's happened and because of this Brereton inquiry, as far as you can see?
Well, if I wanted to be really positive, it could be a really good move for Special Forces. They see that the commandos and SAS have this big, rivalry and all these other issues. Well, whether that's true or not, and I don't believe it is, you get idiots in every organisation, but that's you're going to get that. And so, I think they could reform as one particular unit. And I know that the Americans have done similar things in the past. They don't have it at the moment, but and it would be able to. We would have a better unit than what we have now by having a capability that's it covers a lot more areas. We're going into some different areas here, especially with cyber warfare and things like that, and upcoming events with power plays in the world. They could go in a positive direction, but I don't think they'd be willing to be that bold and make those sort of changes. But that's an option.
Nice way to end it. It's been an absolute honour and a privilege to talk to you. Toby Wilson, thanks for joining us over the bonnet.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Good on you.